Out of the NFL, where Raiders wide receiver Jakobi Meyers has requested a trade. That has been confirmed by our very own Jonathan Jones. Now, over the past 2 years, no Raiders player has more receiving yards or touchdowns than Meyers. He's entering the final deal of a 3-year deal with the Raiders. The final season, He signed back in 2023. Meyers is set to become a free agent after this season. All right, let's welcome in our NFL analyst, John Breech, here to discuss. Breech, great to see you. We actually talked to JJ about this a little bit earlier when the news broke here, and he said, hey, it's very unlikely that Jakobi Meyers is actually going to leave Vegas, but he is in the final year of his deal, as just mentioned. So what do you think it ultimately would take for the Raiders to kind of initiate some sort of movement here or some sort of trade?
Yeah, Jacqueline, it doesn't seem like the Raiders want to trade him, as JJ mentioned. But let's be honest, this is the NFL. Everybody has a price. So if some team were to call the Raiders up and offer a 3rd-round pick, I think that absolutely gets the deal done. But that would be probably overpaying. So maybe the situation where a team calls up and offers a 4th-round pick. You look at some of the bigger name receivers that have been traded this year. Deebo Samuel got sent to the Commanders for a 5th-round pick. George Pickens got sent to the Dallas Cowboys. There was a 3rd and a 5th-round pick involved there. And the Steelers got 1 pick back. And, of course, the DK Metcalf trade involved a 2nd-round pick. So 2nd round's going to be a little too high for Jakobi Meyers. So 3rd definitely gets it done, I would think. 4th maybe gets it done, even for a team that doesn't want to do a deal.
All right, as you mentioned, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. So let's talk landing spots, shall we? And we're starting with the team that needs some wide receiver depth in the Minnesota Vikings. They have their young quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, and we know that Justin Jefferson dealing with a hamstring injury, and then also Jordan Addison dealing with that suspension. So they do need some help at wide receiver, Breech.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do know that they've been in talks with the Panthers. They've been trying to do a reunion with Adam Thielen, but nothing has happened on that front just yet. And so why not call up the Raiders and bring in Jakobi Meyers? As you mentioned, Jacqueline, they have some short-term issues right now. They know Jordan Addison is not going to be available for the first 3 games of the season. You look at Justin Jefferson, yes, he's going to be out in the field in week 1, but he missed a good chunk of training camp with that hamstring injury. And as we all know, hamstrings can be a difficult injury to deal with. Those can flare up at any time. And when you're running routes on every single play, you don't know how well that injury is going to hold up throughout the season. So adding someone like Jakobi Meyers would just give them some receiving insurance that you want to have when you have a first-year starting quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. Because if Jordan Addison is suspended and Justin Jefferson gets injured in week 1 because of the hamstring, who's J.J. McCarthy throwing to in week 2? So that's what you have to think about if you are the Vikings, what happens in the worst-case scenario. So that's why they are trying to trade for receivers.
Let's go to Pittsburgh, shall we? Because it is the Aaron Rodgers era there, at least for 1 more year. And they also got some weapons for Aaron Rodgers via trade in the offseason in DK Metcalf and Jonnu Smith. But do you think they need maybe 1 more weapon there in Pittsburgh for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, it really feels like they do. They've already done more than what Pittsburgh usually does. They made the trade for Jonnu Smith. They made the trade for DK Metcalf. So they've already added 2 key weapons for Aaron Rodgers. But when you look at just the receiving depth chart, there is just not a lot outside of DK Metcalf. We're looking at this right now. You have Scotty Miller and Lance McCutcheon lining up there, Robert Woods, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin. So there's not really a name that I think that Aaron Rodgers can trust right now. One of those guys could step up, have a big season. But if you trade for someone like Jakobi Meyers, that really puts opposing defenses in a bind, because now you can't sit out there and double team DK Metcalf all the time, because you have a true threat on the other side. And Meyers would be a fantastic number 2 receiver. And I'm not sure he would want to be a number 2 receiver because he's the number 1 guy in Las Vegas. But that would be a pretty solid duo if you teamed up DK Metcalf with Jakobi Meyers.
Breech, I know you know this. My dad is from West Mifflin. I'm related to a lot of Steelers fans, and they're already like vibes are high. They're going to win a playoff game. So if Jakobi Meyers goes there, I feel like they might start thinking they're going to win a Super Bowl or something crazy, right? Let's go to New England. So a reunion of sorts, right? Because Jakobi Meyers spending the first 4 years of his career in New England. So why would this reunion sort of make sense for him?
Well, I think you look at where we are on the calendar. The NFL season starts in less than 2 weeks. So if you're a receiver who gets traded, you do have to go in and learn a new offense, and that is not easy to do. So that's going to be the biggest challenge if you end up in Minnesota or Pittsburgh or somewhere else. But if you go to New England, Josh McDaniels is your offensive coordinator. Well, that's who Jakobi Meyers started his career with in New England. And not only were they in New England together, but when Josh McDaniels got hired as the head coach of the Raiders in 2022, guess who he went out and brought with him 1 year later? Jakobi Meyers. So they've been together on two different teams. Jakobi Meyers absolutely understands Josh McDaniels' offensive system, so there wouldn't be a lot to learn. He could step in, and he would be at a minimum a number 2 receiver right away with the Patriots. He'd be an upgrade almost anyone they have, and possibly a number 1 depending on the health of Stephon Diggs. He was one of the biggest free agency signings for New England, but coming off that torn ACL, we don't know what he's going to look like. So getting Jakobi Meyers in there would give Drake May a very good weapon. And Jacqueline, the Patriots have a lot of salary cap space, so they can afford whatever Jakobi Meyers' asking price is.
So potential Jakobi Meyers revenge game loading for week 1 with the Patriots and the Raiders, just adding to the storylines there. Finally, want to talk about San Francisco because probably the most banged up receiver room in the National Football League. You know, Brandon Ayuk, he's probably not going to come back until October of sorts. So tell us about your idea of this connection, Brock Purdy to Jakobi Meyers there in the Bay Area.
Yeah, it's not just Brandon Ayuk, who's going to be out probably the entire first month of the season. You also have Juwan Jennings. He's been dealing with a calf injury. Not to mention, he's not happy with his contract, so you don't know when he's going to be back on the field. And then when you look further down San Francisco's depth chart, they've got guys like Jordan Watkins, Russell Gage. They're also dealing with injuries. The 49ers are so desperate, they went out and made a trade for Sky Moore last week, who was a mostly unproven receiver. So now this would give them the opportunity to trade for a proven commodity. We saw Jakobi Meyers finish with over 1,000 yards receiving last season, and he did that even though he was catching passes from Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. He's got over 800 yards in each of his past 4 seasons, so he is someone who could step in and produce in a Kyle Shanahan offense pretty quickly. So I think that if the 49ers were able to land Jakobi Meyers, that is a weapon that would make their offense a lot better.
Breech, we certainly appreciate it joining us here on HQ to talk potential landing spots for Jakobi Meyers because he has requested a trade out of Vegas. By the way, Breech has a really good article up on CBSSports.com right now that goes into more detail about potential landing spots for Jakobi Meyers. It cannot come soon enough. The NFL and CBS return to September 7th. You can watch your local game live on CBS or stream it on Paramount+.